What's up guys, today I'm gonna show you my Blood Mage build for 0.3. It's very effective and not so expensive to make aside from 3 Ruby Grand Spectrums, which are not mandatory for the build to function. First I'm going to show you an introduction, and for those who don't need to watch it, please skip straight to the skills section. Alright, now let's start with the skills. First we have Life Remnants, of course, with Harmonic Remnants 2 and Remnant Potency 1. After that we have Sigil of Power with Second Wind 3, Prolonged Duration 2, Magnified Area 2, and Cooldown Recovery 2. And our damaging skill will be basically this support gem, Doedre'S Undoing, or whatever it is called. I'm gonna call it Doedre'S. So Doedre'S Undoing. Our curse is going to actually hit because of this support gem, which is basically, so it is gonna hit for 200% of our intelligence. Our intelligence around 300 or so, so it's alright. It's enough. We are going to support that curse with Focused Curse, Magnified Area 2, Spell Echo, and Spell Cascade. Keep in mind, on mapping, you might want to choose to play with Ritualistic Curse instead of Spell Cascade, so you have big AoE. But Spell Cascade is still working on maps, and it's infinitely stronger in Pinnacle bosses. One AoE is not even close. So it's up to you if you want to play with Ritualistic Curse, but for Pinnacle bosses, it's a must to be with Spell Cascade. And we have Cast on Critical, Comet level 21, Cast on Critical is 2020. Ateluis Bloodletting, that's a bit expensive for support gem, but it's the thing that does the damage basically. What it does, it gives 2% extra physical damage per 10 life cost. A lot of physical damage increase. I'm gonna show you exactly how much. So the spell by default does 8 to 12,000 cold, but physical it does 4 times that amount. So super important, mandatory. We are supporting it with Spell Cascade, Energy Retention, and this, I don't think that this is expensive actually, but that's Fluke, but the upgraded version, you also can buy it from Currency Exchange. And that's it for the skills basically. I tried to play with Elemental Weakness, Enfeeble, Vulnerability, Temporal Chains. And to be honest, if you feel that, for example, you cannot reach 4.5k life and you are with lower amount, you can play with Enfeeble, and that's gonna increase tremendously your survivability. Yes, your damage will be a bit lower with Doedre'S Undoing, but it will be not exactly the same, but it will be similar experience. But otherwise, just play with this pair, it's better. Now about the items. First I want to say that my resistances are fit into the items, so I can reach 75 of each, so please feel free to fit them in whatever way you want. But I'm gonna talk about the mandatory stats that you must have. On the boots, the mandatory stats that you must have is maximum life. Mine is nearly not enough, but this is the best I can do at the moment. Normally you want a lot of maximum life, and depends how rich you are, you might want to have 60 movement speed boots, who knows, I don't know. But maximum life mandatory. For both rings basically, you want a lot of maximum life, cast speed and elemental resistances on both rings, mandatory. All the other things are a bonus. And as you can see, the other ring is almost the same. Belt, a lot of maximum life, and here I have triple rest. You can have more life basically. My gloves are pretty bad, but basically you want a lot of maximum life, and depends how rich you are again. You might have exceptional gloves with 100% bonus on sockets, maybe corrupted also with 3 sockets, so you can put maximum life on them, and with more maximum life they can become pretty crazy. We are aiming for 5k life, we are super sustainable that way, and we are killing very fast everything. But we want to reach 5k life for better life threshold, especially versus the mobs, which reduce your recovery to 50%. That one could be a problem because your life becomes 2300, and that's a point where you can die. Now for the armor, mandatory at least 1000 energy shield. Mine, as you can see, is not that great, it's just alright. Some resistance and 1.1k energy shield. I will aim for something better later, for 1.2 something, and with better resistances, so I can swap around items. Defiance of Destiny, mandatory. Also it dropped a lot in price, so you can buy it pretty cheap. Nothing else to say about it. Allocated with Barbaric Strength. Mandatory again. This one is probably the most expensive of the build, except for the Grand Spectrums, but they are not mandatory to make the build function. Of course, it's the best situation to have them, but if you cannot afford 24 divines per piece, you have to buy 3, that's what, 72 divines. If you cannot afford that, it's perfectly alright, you can play without them for now. But without this, you cannot. Your spell damage comes from here, you get a really good amount of critical, and you also get even more damage because non-channeling spells cost 6% of your life, and that's synergizing with other things. For the wand, I have a wand with 5 to cold skills and 70% critical hit chance for spells, some intelligence, some extra physical damage, spell damage, and cold damage. What is mandatory is to get 5 to cold spell skills, 70% increased critical hit chance for spells, and to put 24% increased critical hit chance for spells. Why cold spell skills? Because our comet is cold and we need to ramp up the levels. Yes, you can get all skill levels, you can get way better one than this, but the prices are going insane. But I'm showing you what I did, and it's a cheap option which works exceptionally well the way it does. I bought the wand with 5 to cold spell skills, I guess intelligence and critical hit chance for spells. Everything else I crafted myself, and it was not so expensive. But even if you don't hit cold and spells damage, it's alright. For the helmet, we have the Mask of Sanguimancer. Why? Sounds weird, right? Because, for example, Atalui is converting to life cost. I can put here life tap if I want. But the problem lies with Sigil of Power, which we have on swap. I suggest you buy a staff with 19 level Sigil of Power, or if you can find 20 and 6 to all spell skills. My Sigil of Power at the moment is giving 16% more damage per stage, and you have 4 stages, that's what, 64 more spell damage. It's huge increase, and you will not get that increase unless you have blood magic in this situation. And the other way to get blood magic is to get this point on the tree and That's not going to happen because I have to spend too many points to get there and my build is completely on the other side. So the other way is Mask of the Sanguine Master. Its whole purpose is so I can use my Sigil of Power. Of course, it opens one support socket for Despair, but that's just a bonus. Now for jewels and passive tree. Passive tree will be in the description with the whole build. I'm just gonna show you what's mandatory. Undying Hate with Tekrot, it's mandatory. We put it in this position and we take this keystone so we can get Sacrifice of Blood, which regenerates life per second, per life spent in the past 8 seconds, and more life cost of skills. It's absolutely mandatory. This is what is creating our sustainability. We are just spamming our Despair, and after a certain point we have 6, 7, 8k regen per second, and yeah, it's absolutely mandatory. You cannot skip that. You can have way better Tekrot. There are Tekrots with 4 additional bonuses, 3 additional bonuses, but mine is basic. I'm gonna change it pretty soon, but basic one will work for you 100%. The other mandatory jewel is from Nothing with Bulwark. I don't know how expensive it is now. Before it was not that expensive. It was around, I don't know, 5 divines. I don't remember how much I bought it, but it was not that expensive. Why do you need that mandatory is because you need desperately to allocate those points here for increased life recovery rate, because otherwise it's not enough. You are also getting some from here, and then it's enough actually. I have also 3 Grand Spectrums, which I explained you. They are not mandatory. You can play this build without them in the beginning. After that, of course, it's really good to buy them. They are great for the build, but they are not mandatory in the beginning. And guys, that's all from me. Please let me know how you feel about the build in the comments. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Also, I'm streaming every single day on Twitch. You can come and see me. And another thing, some of you really want Detonate that build for 0.3. As you know, minions are meta in 0.3, so everything involving minions is very expensive. I will try to gather enough items so I can build a proper detonated build, because if you don't have the adequate skill levels of your minions with everything possible, I don't think it's gonna work. However, there are certain tools in 0.3 which I think are gonna enable Detonate Dead to be great again. In 0.2 I tried, but it was absolute garbage. I spent around 300 to 400 divines for everything in 0.2, but the build was so inefficient that I decided that I'm not gonna post a video because the result was a total disaster. So that's it. See you next time.